Takar, Nabam, welcome to the Scholar Based podcast. Thank you for making time and making this
Hello.
happen.
Yeah. Pleasure.
Man, I spent all morning today listening to your stuff, your material, and the most interesting thing before I come to the music is something I stumble upon frequently now with musicians is a mailing list. Why create a mailing list? Why do you want to have a mailing list for your fans and not just be on social media? What are the benefits for musicians to have a mailing list?
Wow, that's a very unexpected question. Firstly, I'm glad you spent your time listening to my music. Um, Probably the best thing that anybody tells me, like listening to my music start right in the morning. That's amazing. Uh, I think mailing list. The reason why an artist should maintain or should I think consider maintaining a mailing list is I think it's one of the best ways to reach out to your listeners who are into your music and who might be interested in listening to anything new that's coming up, or who would like to be a part of your journey. With the social media being extremely, like, it's like a universe altogether. It's so vast, there's so much happening. It's impossible to get people to people's attention. And I feel like mailing list, by maintaining a mailing list, it's like having a more intimate connection with the people who are into your music, so you can reach out to them personally on a personal level. So that, I guess, ensures a better chances of your music getting heard, or them investing time in your journey, or even getting into buying your merch and stuff. So I personally feel that it's a more effective way of reaching out to your
Where
uh,
did you get the idea
fans.
from of doing this exactly?
I mean, I researched quite a bit on Google and stuff about music marketing and how to get your music out, and what are the some of the best practices that one should uh, be maintaining or do or following in order to propel the music, the growth as an artist, and to be able to reach out to people more effectively and consistently. So yeah, I think I did a lot of Google research and checked out a lot of music business related videos and stuff on YouTube, which a lot of them suggested maintaining a mailing list.
Also, the social media platforms don't send your post to everybody because only a handful of people receive that. And versus when you have a mailing
Yeah,
list of, let's say, 1,000 people and you release a song, it actually reaches 1,000 people directly, which is, I believe,
yeah,
a
yeah,
huge bonus. So
absolutely.
this
Yeah.
this idea of music business that you're trying to research, w- where is
Mhm.
this inspiration coming from? Are you planning something that you want to uh, break the boundaries that have so-called boundaries that have been created for independent musicians, that this is what an independent musician's life is? Why tap into music business to discover more things? And what is the plan with this? That what are you trying to exactly achieve for yourself as an artist?
I feel, with we as artists, we spend so much time, effort, money, energy into putting together our songs, our craft, and the best thing that can happen is for your music to be discovered by the right set of audience. And you want that to happen whenever you put out new music. You want that to be happening more consistently, and with every release you probably want to reach out to more audience who would probably be interested in listening to your music. And independent music has its own scene, which is not the commercial stuff, which is outside of that. So, and we've seen a lot of artists who have done really well in this country and also outside. I mean, globally, where independent artists who are not part of the mainstream pop music and stuff, and they're still doing so well. So I feel, to be able to build a strong community and build a strong enough fan base, and to do your shows, sell out shows really, and I guess, make some kind of a break in that front, is was something that came into my mind. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I've been releasing, putting out music and working on all of that stuff, my craft, my skills, everything. But I think it is also equally important for your music to be heard by the right set of ears. So that is probably why I was looking at the options of or researching into how to market your music smartly, rather than saying, hey, my music is out, check it out, because that's usually not how it works. You just have to find really creative ways to make it happen, and for people to discover your music more organically. And I think if that happens, there are better chances of your music being discovered by other people, and word of mouth and all of that to happen more naturally. So yeah, that's why I was kind of delving into that side of things.
Even if we delegate this later on in life, at least you know the real hands-on experience, that what does it feel to make these decisions for yourself rather than just giving it
Absolutely
to somebody. And even the discovery of any regular product is also has to be creative. The more creative it is, the more people connect to it, and the easier it gets to build a fan base. And that's what industries thrive on. Like, I think products have consumers, we have fan bases. And if we show up somewhere and we pack up the venue or pack up the club, then of course the independent artist can charge a premium. And that's what everybody wants. It's a win-win deal for everybody, rather than just sticking to the regular club rates that are provided to the artists most often. Congratulations on your new release, man. Quiet Stories.
Thank you, right? Thank you.
The single.
Yeah.
So I heard the lyrics sound very deep and something coming straight from your heart. I want you to elaborate a little bit about what the song is about, because it really is a very touching song. It's deep. So just take me through it once.
Okay. I mean, for the most part of my life, I stayed away from my hometown, and I stayed away from not stayed away, I would say, like, I didn't have any connection towards my culture and towards my my native people for a long period of time, and I was exposed to a whole different environment.
Hometown is
different
Arunachal,
setting.
and which place is it in Arunachal, hometown?
I'm currently based in Itanagar, but I was born in this place called Doimuk.
Doimuk, okay.
Yeah. So I stayed away for the most part, man. And whenever I used to visit once in a while, I always felt, okay, like maybe I should try and connect to my culture, my things that are happening there. And, I used to try, and then I realized that I didn't stay there for too long. And I used to come back again to the city, which was Delhi. And just about 2 years back, I moved back, and there was a huge shock that hit me, like, oh shit, I'm here now. Like, I kind of know about some things, but I don't know about a lot of other things, and I can't speak my dialect fluently. And that was something that, I got like a lot of people would tell me, especially the elderly, like, oh, what is this? You should be knowing about your own culture. You should be knowing your language. Why don't you know your dialect yet? What's going to happen? It's you guys who are going to keep this, lasting, and you have to speak this. You have to know this and all of that. And it hit me. And whenever I used to come across the older folks, I tried and like avoided them, because I knew I'm going to get that criticism again. I'm feeling like shit by the end of it. So there was a time where I was asked about my where I came from, which village I was from, and I had to kind of I couldn't speak to them, man. Like, I felt very really ashamed and kind of felt out of place. I'm like, okay, I'm here. I probably look like everybody here, but I still can't talk in my dialect, and it was very a harsh truth, and it hit me so bad. I'm like, shit, what am I going to do now? I'm probably going to pretend that I know, but I'm not much of a talker. I'm the silent guy. I'm not going to say much. I listen, try to process, understand what's going on, and then slowly started grasping things, understanding how things worked, what the culture was all about, and what the dialect, what it meant. So I think I have grown considerably on that front. And while I was going through that turmoil, that emotional turmoil that I was having of being back home, but not really feeling like I was fitting in, it felt so bad to me. It felt terrible, and all of those sentiments, it kind of came out through this song. Like, okay, let me just write about this. That's probably the best. That's probably one of the ways I can channelize this feeling, these emotions, and not really like hold me down and like demotivate me from embracing what's around me. So that's basically the uh, gist or the backdrop
So the
behind the
song is mentioning that
song.
you spent a fair amount of time living elsewhere, and you came back to
Yeah,
to your hometown, and
yeah,
it's just not, you're not able to speak your dialect, and then you're basically explaining and telling people what happened exactly in the song.
yeah.
Why can't I
Pretty much
why
that.
can't I speak this
Yeah,
language?
absolutely, absolutely. And it's also a message to a lot of our younger folks who have been who are fortunate enough to go away, like move out of their hometowns and go to the cities and do their studies and all. Like a lot of us don't make the effort to learn learn about our culture, or to be able to speak our dialect. I see a lot of young folks, I mean, including myself, like and I now see it, and I feel that I think we should make an effort to uh, embrace our culture and try to learn to speak, at least make an effort. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah.
I think in the middle also this English got associated, and this whole American culture got associated with status, that if you speak English and if you behave the American way, then there's something extra about your personality, and it became
Absolutely.
more than just a language and just a way of communicating. It did take people away from the
Absolutely.
culture, because even when I was younger, I realized I didn't respect, and I didn't have the same, like how I respect and treat Hindi as a language now. I'm blown by it. Like I can't believe how deep and how meaningful it is. And it just the more deeper I went into it, the more I understood the value. Then of course my roots are from Punjab, and then I started getting into that and understanding some things about the language. The Punjabi culture is pretty much it's not very complex. There's simple things that you attend marriages and weddings, and when you go to those
Go
places,
crazy,
you see
man.
all those beautiful rituals
Big fat
happening.
weddings.
Sorry, say that again.
Yeah. Big fat
Big
weddings.
fat weddings, yeah. But the village Punjabi
Man.
weddings are different, slightly different. Not slightly, but a lot different. Very
Okay.
big feeling of community, and it's phenomenal, the whole experience. But I do think sometimes that there are the ladies and the women of the house, they would sing, and they still sing all these folk songs when a couple is getting married. And I don't know if our generation anybody remembers them. So I think at some point somebody might have to document all this for this to move forward in the
Uh,
culture.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I think the same goes to our culture as well. And I think I recall something from the Punjabi culture. I'm not sure if that's something that you guys do in the wedding, but somebody was telling me that maybe it's done during the wedding time. You say this thing, no, right? Bari varsi katan gaya si, something like that, right? Yeah, yeah. Is that something that you do during the weddings,
Yeah,
or
yeah. So it's mostly like part of the dance, like whenever a dance thing is happening, and then they'll keep adding anything to it. Like I
okay?
can't give examples. I have some Punjabis are listening, they'll come beat me up. So I will leave it there. But yes, it happens. Bari Barsi Khatan Gyasi happens. Uh,
But it's beautiful, man. I came across this when I attended a cricket match in Mohali between India and Pakistan, and me and my friend were there, and he's a Punjabi, so I kept hearing this two groups, like going at each other, like, taking each other's case. And I saw like they were having a ball, like, they were having so much fun. And the only thing I recalled was that starting phrase which was Bari Varsi Kathan Gaya Si, and my friend was like, this is just a way of saying something and introducing, or just starting a battle. Then you're like basically taking
you
each other.
spar, and even in
Yeah,
Gidda, you are sparring. You're like, how you've seen the hip hop, the street dancers. They
Yeah.
dance with each other. They kind of push each other away. Even in weddings, man, during the Gidda, where the ladies dance, and it's a proper dance off.
yeah,
They say bad things to each other, but it's nothing's taken personally. It's part of the ritual.
so much fun,
It's
man.
just I'm getting goosebumps talking and thinking about it. And the ladies, they beatbox while they dance. And I mean, we see it
Oh
now
my
in
God,
this culture,
insane.
but I'll have to. I'm gonna try and find some videos of this Gidda happening, where they're making
Please,
rhythms
please.
off their
Yeah.
feet. They're making these rhythms from their mouth, which we call beatboxing now. But it's phenomenal, like how groovy the culture is altogether, and it's just magical. So coming back to your the hometown thing, that one day you decided you want to leave
Yeah.
Delhi and you want to switch to living a
Hmm.
different kind of life. I vaguely remember that. I did you ever have a burnout doing the regular routine that a Delhi musician would do that time? We almost all of us had the similar routine in Delhi when we were working as
Yeah.
musicians. We'll wake up, we'll practice, we'll teach during the day or in the evening,
Mhm.
and then at night we'll go play a club gig. And it was a regular routine, 5-6 clubs. We would do the same thing over and over and over again until a corporate gig would show up. Did you experience a burnout ever where you started questioning that I'm feeling this routine going every day, where I'm waking up doing the same thing and my musicianship is there, my skill is growing, but I don't know what's happening? Was there a phase in your life?
Absolutely. And now that I try and recall, it's yeah, I think it hit a ceiling. It hit the ceiling. I could do it for maybe 3 or 4 years at max, and after a point, I was like, okay, where exactly am I headed? And there was this feeling of I don't know, like something was like it was all stagnant. I didn't see like growth in general, not in terms of musicianship, but I don't know where in life I was heading, what I was up to. And it was during that time when my parents were like, it's for us back home, it's always like, okay, you go out, do your thing, but after a few years you have to come back and look after the family and look after some of the work that we are doing. And you have to get back home. And I don't know, maybe I would say, like, fortunately, during that time when that stagnation hit me, I think I continued on with that for a year and a half, and then I moved back home. I eventually gave into their gave into whatever they were saying, and I had to go back. But during that phase, teaching, juggling between different music schools, teaching almost 4 to 5 times a week, doing the regular corporate gigs, doing a lot of sessions, and also trying to make my music, putting it out, and going to play my own shows. It got really hectic, man, to be honest. And I felt like either I should move out of this place or I should do something else altogether. And there were times when I just didn't feel like playing at all, and I just like leave my instrument for a couple of days, maybe a week or two, and not look at it, and just try and enjoy life. Feel inspired again to maybe write about something, or maybe go travel somewhere, get inspiration, get a breath of fresh air for a change.
Were you doing this as
The air
as
was
tools
such a
to support you through this burnout? Was that like a conscious thing that, okay, I'm feeling burnt out, I can't do this right now, so I need to step into living life more?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it was mostly like I feel that a conscious decision to step out of it and do something else altogether and come back maybe more inspired, energized to try something new. So, or you end up in a jam session, you get your ass kicked, and you realize, oh shit, I haven't practiced. I need to get my shit together again and
How
do
long
that.
did this feeling stay
So
with you?
I would say about a year and a half, 2 years or
Wow.
so at least.
And you weren't able to really
It's going.
write and connect to your instrument and music altogether.
Yeah, not so much. It was very. It wasn't as disciplined and as organized as I once was. It became very fragmented. I'd have like sudden burst of inspiration. I'll write something, and then next day, I have nothing, and I'm like, I don't even want to see the instrument now. So I used to have these very, I don't know, like
Very extreme reaction.
almost bipolar. I know. So yeah, that happened for quite a bit.
Interesting. And you remember the point when you felt, okay, I feel better now. I feel relaxed. I can step into this again. You remember what made that happen for you, or that line is kind of foggy? And
It's not that the memory is not that vivid, but I think one of the instances was you probably go to a friend's place, you hang out, and you didn't go with your instrument for a change. Otherwise, you're always traveling with your guitar or in the metro or wherever, and then you're chilling with your friend, talking about life and having a good time. And after a point, okay, you see another guitar. It's like a very worn out guitar, it doesn't look like a very well maintained guitar. I'm like, okay, let's see. And then you hold an instrument, it's the same instrument, but it's just that it doesn't feel just the way as it did with your own guitar. And sometimes that sparked inspiration, like, oh, it's fun to play this, even though it's like a very old and badly maintained Gibson. But sometimes that's all you need to like feel inspired again, And the thing is that I wasn't expecting to see a guitar or like play a guitar, and so I just randomly bumped into it and like, oh, it looks like it hasn't been played for a while. Let's give it a try, and there you go. You find another gateway to like your creativity again. So yeah, those instances happened quite a few times with me.
yeah, I think having music as a part of your life is a good idea, because we've been hearing this thing, music is my life, and music is everything for me. But if I look at the heroes that I look up to, music is part of their life, meaning they do many other things, and many other things can mean anything. Just spending time in the woods, learning how to maybe do somersaults, do something outside of music. Like if you try to check out what Victor Wooten is up to through the day, it's very interesting. It's a very lovely day. I mean, spending time in nature and figuring things out about life. And then it just spills over to the musicianship. And in his lessons, when you see him talk about practice, it's the most simple stuff. But the thing is, he's kind of made music as a part of his life in a way that his experiences keep spilling over. So it's just so critical to gather experiences so that you remain joyful end of the day. Because otherwise I feel that we also feel burnt out and frustrated at times, because we put in all this effort. We keep working like donkeys day in, day out. And when we supposed to get the reward for it or get something in exchange, it doesn't bring contentment. Now, if money brings you contentment and it's little money that you get, then you're like, okay, it doesn't feel right. You do the same thing again. The same amount of money comes in again. Doesn't feel right. You kind of start losing, let's say it's a money example right now, but can be other things also. You kind of start losing your mind around that I'm not feeling fulfilled, contented, doing all that I'm doing right now. So for you, when you started doing something else apart from your regular routine that we just discussed about Delhi, what was that you felt like, okay, I feel contented now, I feel happy doing this? Was it producing a certain kind of music, writing some types of songs, or doing more research about how do I take my musicianship forward, how do I market myself. What was it that started bringing you this happiness and contentment again after your burnout?
I think working on other people's music. I took a lot of other work where I would try and compose and arrange music for some other artists. Maybe a singer, they have a nicely written lyrics. Maybe they've composed some melody. Whenever I used to take their work and try to make something, I felt very less. I don't know, like it didn't feel very pressurized. I'm like, okay, although they were my clients, they would tell me what they want, but still it was nice to kind of experiment and kind of go out of my regular whatever my ways of composing my stuff, and then figuring stuff that they would enjoy, and that whole collaborative energy, the exchange of ideas and everything, that's something that I felt really inspired and inclined to do. And even today, as of today, I'm still doing that with other artists who want music made over their a melody or lyrics or something like that. And I find that quite interesting and inspiring, and it always kind of brings me back to writing my music as well. That was one thing. The other thing would be spending time playing sports, maybe doing some exercises, working out. I think that kind of got my focus back, put me back on track, and I felt more inspired and motivated to work. I was heavily into running for quite some time, swimming, running, and just going to the parks for exercises and all of that. So those things kind of kept me going. And this is mostly during my burnout phase while I was in Delhi and I was going through this kind of a phase. And that kind of brought me back in track, I guess. And also meeting people from different walks of life. So a friend of mine, really good friend of mine, who's a yoga instructor, I used to meet her and we used to just chat about life, and sometimes she also likes to play guitar and sing a bit, and we used to hang out, and it used to be really nice. Okay, now we don't have to talk about music, it doesn't have to be about that, and just talk about life. And sometimes we'd jam, and it used to be really inspiring in something very light. You don't have to be stressed out about, and it just felt great. And those were some of the very few things that I kind of did to keep myself in place.
Yeah, man, exercise is just, it's number one support. I mean, there is tons of neurological
Absolutely.
stuff, chemical releases that support just your focus, let's say, and your overall well-being.
Yeah.
It's serious, the amount of support it provides.
Absolutely.
So your content creation, when it comes to content creation, there's a lot you put out as an artist on a regular basis, right? What does your day look like in general to be able to complete all these targets? That I have to put a post, let's say once a week, twice a week, because we all know it's a good thing to do, to be out there, to get more, to be able to show your work, but we're not able to achieve it. So how do you make sure that you're consistent with your content that is put out on social and your songs and singles that come out?
I think there's a lot of hit and trial that goes into it. And one of the things that I have learned is maintaining good practices as regular as possible. So when it comes to, let's say, content creation or something, I try and maybe spend an hour making content, maybe for today or maybe for tomorrow. Or if I'm making content that, sadly it's called content now, but I try and make like 2 or 3 content simultaneously so I can divide them into parts, so I don't have to worry about tomorrow, day after.
So like batch it and bunch record it basically.
Yeah, and then you can splice them, split it and put it into different parts. And then you also see what kind of content works better for your audience, your listeners. What do they want? And sometimes I just do like these polls on Insta story, whether they want to watch some tutorials, they want to see some covers, they want to know more about my songs and something like that. So that kind of gives me an idea, okay, what is it that people in my people who are following me would want to watch from me. So the eventual goal is to obviously look after them and make sure they're there, they're having a good time. It's like they're part of a party, we're having a party together. So they should have fun, I should have fun, and then hopefully they'll probably check out my music.
Love and care is the strategy.
So that's, yeah. It's very basic, man, and I think you just have to, it's important to understand that, and to, if you're investing time and effort into them, I'm sure they will invest their time and effort into your music and checking out your music also.
Yeah, man, you're
Yeah.
very special that way. I mean, this is the most what I enjoy is your honesty in what you write, and not writing it to find a hook or just ride on some sort of a trending wave, which is I really enjoy honesty.
Thank you so much.
Lyrics wise, when you're coming up with stuff, do you sit down always that, okay, today I'm going to write my next song and I'm going to sit with the guitar and I'm going to come up with words and I'm going to write it? Or is it whenever the lyrics pop in your head, you will decide that, okay, something's come, I need to respect the fact that it has come, I'm going to write it down and we'll see the composition tomorrow?
Interesting. For a considerable amount of time, I was always very instinctive, and I would wait for the creative spark for it to come, and okay, I'll take this idea and go crazy over it. But recently what I've started doing is I've started to maintain like a routine. So let's say today, if I practice guitar for an hour, maybe tomorrow or every alternate day, I'll take an hour or two just for songwriting. It could be lyric writing, it could be writing a melody, or it could just be writing a guitar riff or making a groove or something like that. But I'll dedicate that time to doing that, because that way I guess I get more work done efficiently and more regularly than being like, I'm not feeling it today, man. I can't do it, And that used to happen very often. But you need to, I guess, train yourself and discipline yourself. Okay, I need to do this in a more organized way. Sometimes I do end up coming up with interesting ideas like that, but other times it's like, okay, while I'm practicing the guitar, I'm like, oh shit, this is a very cool riff. I didn't think about it yesterday when I was doing my songwriting. Now let me take this and do this in my songwriting time tomorrow, and let me work it out and see how it goes. So yeah, I think maintaining a routine and like disciplining yourself and is extremely important to stay as productive, I guess.
It's magical, man, what happens, because I'm from the same school. It doesn't matter how you're feeling. When it's time to sit down and work on stuff, you just sit down and work on stuff. It's as simple as that. Sometimes ideas will come, sometimes they'll not come. And sometimes they might come out of those working hours, and which is a bonus, You might not have control over that. But this thing that I'm hearing from you just makes me happy that you sit down, dedicate time. And there was this video I was watching about two novelists. One guy, both are very famous. I'm forgetting their names right now. But one guy has come out with 8 novels, and the other one has come out with 2. And the reason they discuss over that conversation is that the guy who came out with 8 novels is actually a guy who will sit irrespective of a spark or an idea popping in his head. Even if he has to just sit and stare at a piece of paper or just a screen, but he'll do that if he has dedicated time to it. I mean, you can do this with music composition, you do this with strategy creation. It's like it's flying in the air, and then you kind of tune to it and it pops in your head. And of course, because we think we are creating and manifesting ideas, but there's a question there, there's a debate, there's something to argue about, that are we really creating ideas, or are we kind of tuning into it, because it exists all the time. Man, from your old days when I used to record people, I was a music producer. That time you recorded a nice set of metal songs in my house in Delhi. And
I
I
remember
don't know if
crazy times.
many people know that side of you, that how amazing you were, and you still are, I'm sure, secretly in your bedroom playing death metal and other stuff. I'm talking, and my question is,
Who
the
knows?
curiosity is the switch that you made from playing metal to jazz to singer-songwriter, pop, and playing all styles essentially. Now you're a versatile guitar player altogether. How much was an advantage was it to have the motor skill to play and move around that fast? Was it not really an advantage, and it was something that as a motor skill would push you in directions that you weren't supposed to go into, and muscle memory will kick in without thinking. You might be playing certain set of notes while you're supposed to actually highlight just the chord tones. Tell me about that the transition that you made. How much was it a support to your transition towards jazz, and how much was it a restriction?
Well, it's interesting you brought this up, and I think the whole metal and the speed guitar phase, it definitely got my skills on the guitar much cleaner, and I kind of I don't know, like I didn't have to worry about technique so much after a point. So when I did end up learning a little bit about jazz and the chord tones and kind of outlining the changes and all, it did feel a little extremely restricting. Like I'm like, oh shit, now I can't like sweep and tap this stuff. That's not, you can't wing it like this. You need to outline the chord changes. You have to respect the art. You have to respect the culture, the jazz culture. You have to respect the lingo of that. And it took quite a while to like really discipline myself and be like, hey, this guy, stop going crazy like as you always did. You have to behave. Only guide tones, thirds, seven, third, seven, third, seven. I mean, I guess the initial days were really difficult, but then when it came out to playing like faster lines, let's say lines by Charlie Parker or something, I realized that okay, he's doing all these arpeggios like super fast. He was on something, of course, but I was like completely sober. I can kind of do this stuff also, all thanks to my metal days, learning how to shred. I definitely think that from technical point of view, it did make things relatively easier for me in terms of playing some of the faster stuff and the technical bits. But just over the course of time, I started getting driven more towards what to say, like more sophisticated, like sophistication in the ideas than uh, the show of the whole thing. Like I'm playing something really fast and like look at me, like this is the fastest shit ever. But more like more arty, crafty stuff, and stuff that had like real depth into it. You listen to one line and you try to dissect everything. You try to see what was the idea behind this particular line, what was going on. And those things kind of got my attention much later. And I mean, even now I'm pretty much about that than about playing fast and sweep tapping. Although I do that once in a while.
Secretly.
It's fun to revisit that. The muscle memory, man, it just happens.
So
Yeah.
the way you are studying and breaking down songs, are you still studying your solos, transcriptions? Are you spending time with that to analyze? Do you have a process for that for yourself? How are you studying songs for yourself?
So nowadays what I've been doing, if I do transcribe something, which I'm not doing a lot, but if I do come across something, the only thing that I feel like transcribing is like I want to get it exactly the way it is. Let's say I was just trying to transcribe some Thelonious Monk this morning. I spent maybe 10-15 minutes just trying to transcribe the voicings he was playing on the piano and the way he was articulating this stuff. Now, the initial part is I don't analyze what he's doing. I just listen and copy that. And then over a course of time, when that sound kind of grows in me, and I realize, okay, this is really cool. This is really cool. I've been playing for a while. What exactly is this? Then I see, oh, he's using this in these chords, or during this particular chord movement, it's playing on a 251, 1625, wherever. I like this. Now let me take this and maybe run it over another tune. Hopefully, if I do this very often with one particular idea or a few set of ideas over other tunes, I will probably see that coming in more naturally than trying to uh, force that thing in all 12 keys, hoping ki when I'm going for a jam, I have to throw this 251 kisi halat mein, because that that feels extremely pressurized. And I remember doing that, and it always ended up being a failure. Like, I'd be like, shit, that felt terrible. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just like let things flow naturally. And I truly believe in that. And I think with transcriptions and all, just spending time listening to it so much that you can literally hum it, you can hear it even without the song, and you pick up the instrument and you can hear these ideas in your head and you're able to replicate that. I think that's the moment which is like really satisfying, and it's magical. So yeah.
It's I'm reading this book these days called Creativity by Mihai, and I can't say his last name. Some very long Russian, Chitskya Mihai, something like that.
Okay.
He's written another book called Flow, and this is his other book, Creativity. So in this book, he's talking about this. He calls it learning the domain, meaning like if you're a musician, you need to understand the domain of music. If you're a guitar player, you need to understand the domain of playing guitar, and then inside that finer niches are there. There's jazz or rock or whatever. So he talks about that first you need to learn what people are already doing in there. And he gave a very nice perspective that we are taught, yes, we need to learn and transcribe, and then you'll be able to play nicely after that. But at a psychological level, what he said was very interesting. He said that we transcribe to understand the benchmark, like what should it sound like eventually, because most of my life I thought if I transcribe somebody, I will take their idea and I'll start sounding like them. But then I would ask my teachers and other people, they used to say, no, you'll make it your own, you'll play it in your own way. Or somehow that set of words did not really explain and do it for me. But now after some people explain things much better. So this guy is a psychologist, he's not a musician. So he said that you are actually learning the benchmark. You are, if you're transcribing a bunch of minor pentatonic fills, you're actually learning what should your fill sound like, what needs to be the standard of your fill, right? Because he said that end of the day, ideas are going to come. You can't help it. But what helps and what makes one person grow over the other is which ideas you need to keep, which ideas you need to trash. And how do you decide that? If you've transcribed and learned enough about the domain, that helps you make that decision, right? Because there are tons of ways you can play a melodic minor fill. It can be interesting and it can be not interesting, right? It's a set of notes. But then this way of phrasing it that, hey, learn the stuff, transcribe it, and then it'll help you make your own wise decisions that your musicianship sounds gorgeous, sounds beautiful. So, talking about transcription, I know you are a fan of John Mayer, because yes, there's a lot of inspiration you draw from him. And I also see a lot of guitar players, musicians in general, everybody loves him. I don't know any person who says that he's not on. He's on at very different levels in terms of musicianship, the vocabulary he owns, the way he composes, everything is brilliant about him. What is your take on this? That why is this one person getting so much attention in terms of people getting inspired from him, people almost trying to compose like him? What is it about John Mayer, according to you, that really he becomes such a huge inspiration?
Well, I don't know about people. People might have a bunch of things to say about him, that he's funny, he's good looking, or whatever, But for me, when I heard him, it was like the first song I probably felt inspired after listening to was Neon. And I'm like, this guy, he's playing this really intricate and cool sounding guitar intro, and he's singing over this. How the hell is he doing this? I want to know what he's doing. And I started learning it, and while I was doing it, took me a while, but I started exploring his other stuff. And then I saw that, okay, he's not doing the regular 145 chords, G says C. He's not doing that. He's doing a bunch of other stuff too, and I kind of like that. So that drove me into his music. And then I checked out his trio. He's doing all the crazy blues rock stuff, and he's playing so good. A lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan and Hendrix influences in his playing, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy really got it down. And I had like a huge respect for him after that. And then obviously I checked out all his pop music stuff, and he uses a lot of these modal switches in his songs, at least in his earlier songs. I don't know what he's haven't heard that in the newer stuff, but his older albums had a lot of these chords from outside of the scale, and that used to get my attention. Like, okay, this sounds cool, I want to learn this. So I think uh, his the sophisticated little sophistication in the that he brought into the pop music, and also still maintaining or taking forward the blues uh, playing in his work, that kind of grabbed my attention, and it got me hooked into his music. And also in terms of lyric writing, I think is really good, whatever I read. And it felt like a whole package, paisa vasool, sab kuch, like from songwriting to playing the acoustic to ripping the electric guitar to just
It's,
being an amazing
and it's not
musician.
processed, it's not like how now you can create a lot of content and a lot of music and create an artist almost by putting so much processing on their voices. I mean, this guy, you can see he's creating great stuff, and then when he's on stage playing live, my god, what an experience he is altogether. So
Absolutely.
this artistry where it becomes a mix that people can understand you, but it's still musically stimulating, like Stevie Wonder's music. Overjoyed is actually
Yeah.
harmonically very, it's sophisticated harmonically. It's not your regular song.
Yeah.
But can everybody sing it like a pop song? Yes, everybody can sing it. And most of Stevie's songs are like that everybody can sing them, but when you sit down and figure out, my god, what the hell is
You're
going
like,
on? How are all these people driving cars and trucks able to sing this song?
Now, that's creativity, man. That's like pure talent, how you very intelligently compose something which sounds so simple. You're doing a whole bunch of stuff, and you don't realize it until you sit down with the instrument and trying to figure it out. Very, very correct. And that's very cool.
So now where you've reached, which is you're writing the singer-songwriter stuff, you're writing pop music, but it's also musically sophisticated. I enjoy everything I hear. I'm, tied into the chord changes. I'm tied into the lyric. For you as an artist, do you feel contented doing this, that you found this is the best way to express myself? Or do you think that it might
Absolutely, man.
evolve to somewhere else also?
I don't know. I just feel that the fact that I have had the good fortune to take the artistic freedom and still be myself, write my stories or things that inspire me, and put everything that I like and into one thing, and it makes me happy. I eventually I think it's so important for you as an artist to enjoy the process. And I know today I'm this, tomorrow I'm not going to be the same person, but I'll still have certain things that are very intrinsic and representative of who I am as an artist. And that thing, even though sonically there will be some variations, but you'll still see through those things happening through the rest of the songs. I So let's see. I mean, where this goes. I'm very much like I like the process of evolution and what new things that come into my sonic palette. Let's see where it goes.
Man, thank you so much for this. I love you very much. I love your music very much. I think
I love you too, man.
you're introducing a huge change. Huge change when it comes to writing and the way you make people experience and feel stuff through your own words. It's just phenomenal.
Thank you
I'm
so
just
much. Thank you.
very grateful you came. Thank you so much. And I'm keeping the call on, just stopping the recording for now. Thank you guys for coming.
Absolute pleasure.
I'll see you later. Takar, you want to say bye?
Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you, Saurav, for having me for this. It was such a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you guys also had fun listening to it.
Thank you guys. See you very soon. Bye.